I miss it though. I'm not even gonna lie. You know what I mean? Because that one, too much work. It's too much work.
How y'all doing? Y'all all right? You good? Where your mind at? It's in the clouds. Oh Lord. Well, that's why God bless you with a husband, so you can tell him all about it. Tell him all about it. Amen. I worship the maker that make the makers make it. Tell him all about it. Checkmate. Should left me alone, devil. And what do we have here? We got a dominoes game from above. All right, everybody. 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 and 1. Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome to another session of Soul Therapy Live. You know, as they would say, the devil is busy.
Oh my God, is it?
However, albeit notwithstanding, God is always on the clock. You see what I did there? The devil is busy, but God is always on the clock. Welcome, everybody, to Soul Therapy Live podcast. I am your host, Andre Martin, and I also have a co-host with me as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to introduce myself.
Yes, you do, man. Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Well, you know, I go by a man of many names. One of the names that they call me in the streets is Ben. How you doing? They call me in the church Boogie. My mom called me Amir. So whichever one you want to call me, man, I'm here.
All right, all right. That's your government name. So appreciate. Shout out to all of you who have government names. You got government names. Everybody got government names. That's right. The one that's on your birth certificate. So we won't be before you long on tonight, but I do have an opening scripture, especially as we're getting ready to get into the topics for this particular evening. And so the scripture is going to come from out of Mark chapter 16 and it's verse 15. Mark chapter 16 and it's verse 15, a very, very popular passage of scripture that says, and he said to them, he being Jesus said, go into all of the world and preach the gospel to every creature. And so in my opening monologue, as we begin to tackle topics from a Christian worldview and also just as regular people, this particular passage of scripture was actually given to Jesus' disciples after a rebuke. If you look at Mark chapter 16, verse 12 and 13 and things of that nature, or a little bit either in the previous verses or the previous chapter, Jesus was dealing with his particular disciples, and he was kind of upset with them because of their unbelief, right? And this is because those particular disciples, or the 11, didn't believe that he really rose again based off of the testimony of the witnesses that saw him appear throughout the city. And so, like many things, as believers, as people that know about things of God and try to have a relationship with Jesus Christ, some of the things that are really detrimental to faith is doubts and unbelief. Doubt and unbelief is what will thwart or deter or hinder blessings in your life. God moves greatly one weekend, and then the next day, it's like nothing good is happening. God is moving mightily in your life for 2 days, and he's answered your prayer, but then the enemy keeps on coming, and he makes you forget the works that the Lord has done. But we need to understand, just like the disciples that were on the road to Emmaus, and they were stricken with grief, and Jesus came up behind them and they said, you know, who do men say that I am? Some say that I'm a prophet, some say that I'm an apostle, but who do you say that I am? And then those same two men on the road to Emmaus didn't even recognize Jesus because of what happened in the past, because of his death. They didn't believe that he rose again. They heard about it in the wind, but you know, sometimes for us, even as believers, seeing is believing. And sometimes we need to have physical evidence in front of us. So, oftentimes God, through his son Jesus Christ, will rebuke us by firmly reminding us, why are you walking in unbelief after all that I have done? Count your blessings, name them one by one, count your blessings to see what God has done. And so as a response to this, to their unbelief, because they didn't believe what they were being told, that Jesus truly did rise again from the third day, Jesus said, okay, well, since you see me now, I need you to go ahead and preach the gospel to everybody. Preach it firmly. In other words, you have your marching orders. Your flesh has been satisfied by me showing up once again. Now you need to do something. Now you need to believe even more now. And this is why, as I close, this is really good for all of us to write down a journal or have a journal, not only of the negative things that happen, and a lot of that is in our minds, but also a lot of the godly things that have happened over the passage of time. And trust me, I did not try to rhyme there. It was just something that happened. But if you get stuck on what happened to you and that overrides what God has done for you, then you really need to check your faith. Especially for those of us that have been mature in the things of God. You're always going to get hit. There's always going to be the enemy that's going to try to throw you a blow from the left or the right, especially when you try to advance in the things of the Lord. However, even though the devil is busy, and this is the quote for the day, that doesn't mean that God has clocked out. He's always on the job. We just have to trust and believe that he is who he says he is. And so as we begin to move forward, I don't want to start preaching too much. I just felt in my spirit that I just wanted to encourage each and every one of you. And I'm going to encourage myself, because there's always different trials and tests, things that you have to go through, things that you have to experience. And so even as I have these dominoes right here on the table, y'all have to get a quite quick little close-up of that. You see that quick little close-up of that? So my very first domino to kick this off, is that how it's supposed to go?
Double six?
Let me see if I have that. Oh, well, yeah. First one for right now. Did you get a shot of that? Yeah, I know you like the shot of that. You know you like the shot of that. If you can show it internally, that's fine too. That's fine too. So you can see that double six right there. Good. But before we do that, we have at least two sponsors that I want to share with you. Actually, three of them. The very first sponsor is going to be Truth Learning Academy, where your light shines bright. It is located at 350 Anchor Road, Suite 1050, in the beautiful city of Castleberry, Florida. It's our daycare center, and it is also a place for summer camp. Now, if you decide to bring your child here, you'll have snacks, you'll have games, you'll have a godly environment to raise up your and beyond. So check us out. Give us a call at 407-807-0701 to ask for our competitive rates. We are also doing even more in the community with this particular daycare, because we got a chance to go to National Night Out. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. Truth Learning Academy was there. Divine Truth was there. We also had other people that were supporting us at that specific place. All of the police officers from the city of Castleberry was also there. And so if you go to our Facebook page, Truth Learning Academy, on Facebook, you'll see that there was this particular cop that was dancing with Lady Martin, right? And everybody seen it, done went viral. It seems like it done went viral because Whitney Houston was playing and says, I want to dance with somebody. She danced with me, but I don't, we don't dance no more. All we do is this. Yeah. All we do is this. That's what I was doing. But then the police officer took her for a whirl. And everybody was like, where is Pastor Bud? I was just there chilling. I was resting. I was eating my snacks. I was eating my Wawa cookie. And I was talking to different individuals. So it was a really fun and good time. We want to be integrated with the community. And you know what? Sometimes God allows for us to be busy for a good reason. The idle mind is the devil's workshop, right? Sometimes when you have too much time to do things, then that's when you start worrying, and then the complaining and the murmuring start coming in. But what did God just do just a couple of days ago?
A lot.
He's already done a lot of good things, a lot of great things. So again, if you want to check us out, come to Truth Learning Academy. We accept 4C as well as VPK students. And so if you have a different economic situation, we should be able to accommodate you as well. And of course, the next particular sponsor is going to be Divine Truth Christian Center. That's the reason why we're here. This is the reason why we're in this community. We've been around for 13 years, and God still has us going strong despite the trials and tests. Come on out, support us. We're here every single Wednesday and Sunday, podcasts, prayer, teaching of the word. We're doing and attacking things from different angles, just giving some people a variety of things to go towards and do. And so again, we're here every Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Every first Wednesday, we're going to be doing our podcast. Every second and fourth Wednesday, that's when we do our Bible study and teaching. And every third Wednesday, we also do our My Time with God, where we have our prayer service. And my God, that is a truly powerful, powerful time, okay? We're always going to be going through things. This life is, something that we always have to deal with the ups and downs. But there's more ups than downs when you have Christ Jesus. And so if you're looking for a church home, come and check us out on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. We'll be glad to have you. We'll be glad to love on you, love your family. And even if you solo dolo, there's no problem with that either. We have enough love to extend to you because it's of the love of Jesus Christ. He is the eternal spring. He never runs out at all. And so join us on that particular day if you so choose. And so now as we begin to move forward, we have the very first wave, and I think this is a big one. Oh, my goodness. I think I saw this email this morning from Nelnet.
Yeah. They've been calling me, too.
Oh, my goodness.
So what would you like to do
So
now?
the very first wave after wave is student loans. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Them student loan repayments. Those student loans are no longer under the grace period. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, after 3 years hiatus, the man behind the man is knocking on the door and saying, yep, it's time for you to pay up. It's time for you to do something. And so I think I need to look at my dominoes really quick. Oh, yeah, look at that. Yeah, let's see. I got to look at my dominoes really quick.
So let me, what happened to Biden doing the thing saying that we was going to cancel like 20,000, 10,000 worth of student loans?
Well, that's for a select few people. They forgave, I believe, 125,000 people's student loans, right? But the United States is 331 million people. 125,000, 331 million people. So you do the math. That's not 3.3 million, that's 10%. Yeah. So yeah, this is like 0.001%. Right, I need my school to shut down. No, don't do that. That means nobody else do that. I think Deacon Penn, some of these other people, they've experienced the blessing of the Lord, where the Lord moved mightily and shut the school down. I was like, man, oh man, oh man. But there is some good news. If you do have a school that is no longer in existence, your loans should be forgiven. They should not be coming after you for that. Okay. However, if you do still owe those people, there's several different ways that you could kind of push the clock forward, right? I wish Lady Mart was here for this because she definitely knows the ins and outs as an accountant when it comes to that. But when it comes to your loan repayments, there's several things that you could do. You can always get a forbearance. That's number one. That's when you delay it, but you will also have to pay some, what I would call some interest on it.
Yeah, little fees on that.
Yeah, some low fees on it. There's also where you could pay graduated payments over time. This is where over a period of time you start off with small payments and then they increase over a period of time. And then there's also certain programs that you could be a part of that can actually get loan forgiveness for the total amount, but you have to be in certain occupations and you also have to do community service in order to get those things forgiven, such as being a teacher, a public servant, or civil servant. So those are also some ways to get those loans forgiven in totality. Somebody like me, that won't apply at all. I would love for it to be that way, but it's not that way. Typically, if you work a government job, then you can't the government jobs are from taxpayers, so they're not going to have you pay back something that already belongs to them. So that's the reason why it's a wash, right? So you're basically working for them for free, in a sense, when you get your student loans paid off. But then, of course, if you have a financial hardship, then you can also write a letter and let them know that, hey, things are not where they need to be. There was a job loss, or this is going to put me in financial disarray, and then they'll create different type of payment adjustments for that. So between deferrals, now don't try to hustle the system too much now, right? Like you saying that you self-employed and you unemployed all the time, and of course you can't pay. That I've seen people do that many, many, many times. And if that's your case, then that's your case. But if you can't take money from things if you don't have it. So what you don't want to do is that if they are trying to get in contact with you, that you just totally ignore it. You do need to deal with those people, because even when it comes to bankruptcy, and I believe bankruptcy is one of those key things, and I think even chapter 13 and chapter 7, you can't file bankruptcy for government-backed student loans and they forgive them. Last time I checked, maybe Deacon Penn, you can fact check me on that, but you can't even press that nuclear button. The only thing that you could do, hopefully, is to pay your loans over an extended period of time for up to 25 years, and then after that, it can be forgiven. That's what you can do. Now, for me, I'm gonna be 50 soon, so that looks like, my student loans are gonna outlast my life. That's how I'm laughing too. So I'm not even worried about it. I'm not worried about nothing. I'm not worried about nothing at all. Oh, you already put a domino down?
I did.
Yeah, man. Let me see what I can do right. Bam! Let me see what I can do right there. So that's one of mine. One that I got right there.
Spades or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, so check it, right? Don't the student loans, that will hinder me from being able to get a house, right? Or are they looking at that when I'm trying to buy a house?
If you are trying to buy a house and your loans are back in repayment, then yes, they do count that as debt. But there's other things that you could do. Remember, there's a blessing in being a lifelong learner. You can always go back to school, and then they will automatically defer your loans until you graduate. And you could be on the extended program where you take one class. No, I'm just saying you have to be at least part-time. You're going to have to be at least part-time. And during that time period when you're at least part-time, then they will defer your loans until at least your money gets caught up, or you take classes until you die.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing.
Nah, but sometimes that might be the route, though. Yeah.
So, you got to do what you got to do. I would love to have just $50,000 of student loans. My student loans like doctor, like you've been in residency for like 10 years. Oh, my goodness.
100K.
Man.
I know people that's like 21 years old, or when I came out here, they was leaving here after a year or two with $150,000 in debt, and they was 18, 19, 20, 21.
Man, I'm going to a different country, man. You're just gonna have to find me, and they'll find you because they got your Social Security number. Now, so you do have to do something about it. You have to get a part of that program, and we know that this is a crisis all across the country as far as education. That's why you have some people that are trying to do different programs. That's why parents, we always emphasize your children getting good grades so they could get those scholarships, so that you could drive those costs down. Even if you did not go to college yourself and you don't have any student loans, guess what? Your kids are going to want to go to college, and you may have to take out a Parent Plus loan, and you still have to pay student loans for them in case they are, have a child like Pastor Martin, where I didn't get scholarships because my GPA wasn't that good. So God graced me to go to Florida A&M University on provisional status. They gave me a chance to get into that school. I made it out by the skin of my teeth, but it was very, very beneficial. I was a late bloomer. So in those particular cases, you want to try to manage your budget, but also talk with those particular companies, especially when it comes to the government-backed loans. There's always different types of programs. There's always different types of deferrals that you could do so that you won't be looking all sad in the face when October the 23rd comes around.
That's when it's coming.
That's when I saw my first payment. It was like October the 23rd. I looked at that amount and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Oh my gosh, what is this? I was like, no, please help me. But nope, the tones didn't work. They're going to still send me a note. They got my email. They got my telephone number. They got my Social Security number. It is what it is. But hey, that does not mean that you can't live, can't do what you need to do. You just have to work things out, and you can. Right. This is not, put it this way, everybody was in repayment prior to the pandemic anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So what's new now, right? Okay, so all I have to do is just make it until it's time for me to go to heaven, and then they can't collect from me no more. They can't collect from me no more.
Yeah.
Yep. So next wave, of course, is there was a man that was arrested in Tupac's murder. Now y'all know that we've been talking about this for how long?
16.
How long, Jose? It's been
30 years.
It's 1996. I still remember
20 years.
where I was when I first heard that Tupac and Biggie got killed, and they were like what a week apart from each other, a couple of months apart from each other, a week or a month, couple of months, a year apart from each other. And I still remember when Tupac got killed. I was on the steps of the girls' dorm at Florida A&M University, and I remember somebody saying, "Tupac dead. He's dead." I was like, "Y'all lying." You know how black people do always say, "Y'all lying. You ain't telling the truth. You lying." But suffice to say, Tupac was dead. And so this particular gentleman was seen as being the suspect. You could tell he smoked too, right there, right? You
Yeah,
could tell he smoked a
lips.
lot. I'll smoke
You
too
can
if I.
lips.
I'll smoke too if I do. Oh, you thought that was funny? You can pay it, don't you? Like, smoke. Hey, when these people are gunning for your life, people are trying to find out who he is. But this man has so-called confessed to the murder of Tupac, but then there's other things that are swirling around, like Puff Daddy had something to do with it. There's some hush money. Suge Knight was actually present, and he was actually the one who did the hit. We don't really know.
Yeah.
And so, what do you think about this, man? I don't know. It just kind of feels like it's an urban legend a little bit.
All right. So this man right here is very tricky about this whole thing. 'Cause he wrote a book. He said it in his book. He did an interview with Vlad TV, and he was talking about it in the interview.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't necessarily saying that he did it. He said he was in the car.
Oh, he was in the car, so he know who did it.
He was in the back seat. Stuff got to going, and things went to happening. But he put it in his book, and he didn't really want to talk about it. And then Vlad got to reading it from his book. And when Vlad was reading it from the book, he was saying literally from his eyes everything that happened that night. So now when I look at it, I'm like, you done already told on yourself. They probably not gonna find those other dudes, but accessory to the murder, to the crime that's the thing. You was there, you know what I mean. But to me, he gave his whole self up, and then they came and got him. So it's like social media and the cameras and everything.
But did he do it, or did he just say he was in the car?
No, he was in the car, and then whoever was in the front, he was in the back seat. So meaning I'm riding in the back, you and Jose in the front. Jose want to shoot. So now he get to shoot.
You got it like that, brother? I'm not riding with Jose. You on your own, brother. Hey, Sharon, you better talk to him. Talk him out of it. Talk him out of it. But that just don't make no sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I remember the scene. I remember the car door being open and all the bullets, but the bullets came from the outside of the car.
That's not what he said. I'm trying to find it.
Didn't y'all remember that? Oh, no, that was Biggie who had all the bullet holes on the outside of the car. But Tupac's, you didn't really. I'm trying to remember. It's been so many years, but I don't remember that at all.
They shot through the car.
So they shot through the car. Okay.
And I think Suge got hit in there. He got grazed in the head with a bullet.
So how can old boy be inside of the car and do like one of them Tubi movies where the bullet just curves around and hits the person in the front seat? Ain't nobody finna do that. That don't even sound right. So I don't know. All I know is that Tupac had a great legacy. I still remember listening to All Eyes on Me. Boo doo doo doo. Shed so many tears. At Black Beach Week so many years ago when I had a six-pack and all this other stuff like that. Still have the photo, still remember the scene. I remember the whole thing out there in Daytona. They don't even have that anymore. Those are my memories. Now, they had the Freaknik videos, but they didn't have the Black Beach Week videos. Freaknik, I couldn't get up there because I was too far away. We didn't have enough money to go to Atlanta. We went to Atlanta after everything was over with, but Black Beach Week, I went at least 3 years in a row. I went when I was 18 years old, 19 years old, and then 20 years old. By the time I was 20 years old, I had a girlfriend. I couldn't go no more, so that was that. But yeah, I remember his songs. He had a great impact. But they've been talking about this for like a long time, man. So he's a suspect, but he probably may know who did it, but you know how no stitching goes. So I think it's just going to be at another dead end.
It's already, to me, this is what I said. I was like, bro, you might as well take that to the death. It's already so long now. Why would you write a book, do an interview?
You trying to get money?
I mean, what they gonna put it on his books? You know what I'm saying? Because
I don't know. They go to. Maybe he got student loans. Maybe he got student loans. He got to pay off.
Man, and then another thing I said, man, because I think I think he's still in the gang or whatever. I probably said he got some stuff going on the street that was probably better for him to be on the inside. You know what I mean? But still living that life, and I would have just took it to the grave. You ask me, if I didn't came this far, especially if I'm the only one that's still alive. Who knows if the other two people are still alive?
I don't know, but these folks look like they around my age. Probably no, they're older than me because they were all kind of like around in their 20s, mid-20s at that particular time, maybe 30s or stuff like that. But who knows? But hey, we be thugging, I guess.
They say your boy Suge, he not gonna testify.
No, he ain't gonna testify. He's gonna take that with him to his grave too. So somebody gonna have to come from out of the woodwork. I don't know. My thought is that I don't think that Tupac's killer is alive anymore. I think he been gone.
Yeah.
And so that's what they're saying. I think he been gone. I think they found out, and I know for a fact that Puff and them found out because they got too much money to not be able to find out. And they put a hit on him, and that man disappeared. So, I think this is good drama, but it's a dead story. And we don't know who killed, Christopher Wallace neither, right? We don't know what happened to Biggie Smalls. We don't know what happened.
You think we ever know? Because they used to say, ironically, somebody named Amir shot one of them dudes.
Well, I know it wasn't you because you were a baby back then. You were a baby back then. So no. It wasn't you. You weren't even driving at that time. Well, you might have been, but I don't know. But I think that if he was a different persuasion, they would have found him by now. But if they find John Bonet's Ramsey killer, all that stuff went around the same time. I think that both individuals. I think that Biggie's killer, only because Biggie got killed last, is still alive. But I do not believe that Tupac's killer is still alive. Biggie killers, yes. Tupac's killer, no. And that's only because the revenge that's coming after Biggie, if you're the last shooter, then you're the last one standing.
Yeah.
And I don't think the rage from Death Row was going to be any more after that. Because who else are you going to go after Tupac? And then nothing else happened. Snoop would have been the next target. But by that time, Snoop was getting ready to go with No Limit. So it is what it is. Our next wave after wave is this one. Now, this is for all of my Pop-Tarts that are out there. We got two sides of Castleberry. We got the chocolate side and we got the vanilla side. So this side of Castleberry, we also have Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift has been in the news quite a bit. And so there is this new topic that's coming out, which is the following. Do y'all out in the streets, from the chocolate side and also from the vanilla side, right, believe that Taylor Swift is more popular than Beyonce? What do you think?
Man, I'm going first and foremost, I'm going to say no. But then that could be a biased statement because I am of the chocolate persuasion.
Hey, Jamar, can you look up Taylor Swift and Beyonce's net worth each?
Yeah, because I can't tell you one Taylor Swift song, even if it was on the radio.
Shake it off, shake it off.
Okay, I know that one.
I know, shake it off.
I know that. I can sing that one.
Now, you big, because I don't be listening to hardly nobody, but you big, because I listen to rap, I listen to gospel. You big if that type of song gets to my ear, because it was in like every single movie out there. Every single kids movie, they have the shake it off thing. All right. So it's a self-esteem builder song, by the way. So yeah, these two, I don't know. What do you think, Sharon? Which one thinks more popular?
Beyonce.
That's so safe.
Beyonce.
That's so safe. Oh my goodness, that's so safe. Yeah, see, I don't know. I don't think it's that widespread or anything like that. So basically, she was saying, she may be, Taylor Swift may be popular in the United States, but then Beyonce is popular in other countries. But then, I don't know. I know of Taylor Swift a little bit, but I know that Beyonce has been around for a long time. Taylor Swift is also younger as well. But you have stars from two different areas. I believe that Taylor Swift is popular among white people, and I believe that Beyonce is popular among black people and white people. I think one of them is just popular among mostly white people, but the other one is popular among black people and white people, but mostly black people. Yeah. And I think it could go either way, right? So I don't know. You got their net worth, brother?
Oh, you got their net worth? I got their followers. It says Taylor Swift is taller than Beyonce.
Taylor Swift is at 740 million, and Beyonce is 540 million.
Oh, you said just add Jay-Z in there? Add Jay-Z. It's in there. It's all right. It's all right. So you said add Jay-Z in there. And yeah, Taylor Swift is single. You said don't add him in there?
No, I just think that Beyonce might funnel her money more to the kids too.
She might funnel her money, but that's a lot of millions of dollars. You telling me that I'm giving my kids $500 million?
Well, because, Blue is probably the main hit on her tour right now.
They both had great tours.
Wow.
And Taylor Swift messed up the economy with her tour.
What?
Because they was
What kind of urban legend is this?
Nah, because they were, okay, so.
Flag on the play. Where's my thing? Flag on the play.
What they was doing was they was taking Taylor Swift tickets and then reselling them for higher money.
Oh.
So that was they was tripping over that. The government was tripping over that. Like literally the government. But I'm a ride with Beyonce, man. But only because I don't know nothing about Taylor Swift.
Okay.
And I could be real biased on that. But at the same time, her pulling Travis Kelce, she shook up the whole internet with that. Oh, you can play like that?
One down, one victim down, one more to go.
Oh, you out? You done?
I'm done, man.
What?
Behold.
This man cheated, man.
So we gonna try this again. All right. So that's one other topic. So I don't know.
Oh, man.
I didn't know that Taylor Swift was banking like that. But yeah, one audience member said, that, yeah, Jay-Z, he's a billionaire, a quote unquote billionaire. But I think Travis Kelce ain't got no money like Jay-Z though.
No.
Travis Kelce is popular. He's from the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think he may make like maybe 20 million or something like that, maybe 30 million or something like that. He's going to the Hall of Fame, so he's popular among the white folks, and I think his endorsements are going to go to the roof. But I think he done picked that. He was with a black girl, but I guess don't even. I know you got
Sharon, don't get mad at me, but he made black women mad, though.
By him going to Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Man.
He made black
Don't
women
get me
upset.
started. Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
For like 2-3 days, black women was upset, boy.
Yes, because he's the white chocolate. He's the white chocolate of the football world. And he could come to the cookout, but I don't know. I can say a lot, but I'm not gonna say a lot because I don't want to get in trouble. But let's just say there's a difference between a Coke bottle and an ironing board. I'll just put it that way.
Listen, you said something there, Pastor.
There's a difference between a Coke bottle and an ironing board, and he knows the difference. But that ironing board got a lot more money. He got a lot more money.
Yeah.
So I always told y'all that marriage is about love, and it is also about business.
I was just about to say, is it a business?
It is a business. It's a business, and it's about love. Folk nowadays are getting married and shacking up like no tomorrow because the way that these housing prices and rent is set up, you ain't gonna make it by yourself. You ain't gonna make it by yourself. You need to move back in with your parents. You're gonna be staying in a different part of town. All this other stuff like that. Nah, man. Ain't nothing going on but the rent. That's the truth. So let me get some more of these bones. And then our next one that we have is the emergency. Okay, the emergency alert system. How many of y'all were scared today? Y'all thought that Jesus was coming?
No, that thing was going off on my watch.
Oh,
and
my
phone,
goodness.
man.
I was teaching class. My phone was going off. And students were scared. I was like, is Jesus coming right now? Is he coming soon? I put a post, and I was like, the next alert is going to be a trumpet sound. Now, I didn't say it was going to be next as in like tomorrow, but I just know that the next worldwide alert And that's going to be the trumpet sound. Every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that Jesus is Lord. Jesus is Lord. So I know that the phones are going off in the schools because, everybody's not on social media. There's a lot of elderly people that have cell phones and they didn't even know that this was happening. And you walking in the store and you hear all these phones. It's almost like something off of the Squid Games. Yeah. And the phones, you just imagine. Hey, what would have been really bad is if somebody was inside of a funeral home. You wake up dead. Hello. If you were trying to hide from somebody, and you were cheating on somebody, and somebody's hiding inside of the closet for
a lot of people got their phone exposed today. Think about the people locked up. They had their secret phones.
They had their secret phones. Your burner phone that went off today. Doggone it! I knew that something was going to happen. Oh my goodness! I thought that was so funny, but I also thought at the same time that it is a phenomenon that really brings about, and I said that on purpose, and I'm saying this like with partial seriousness when I said on my Facebook post that the trumpet will be a worldwide alert, because this was just in the United States, right? Or if you have a American number and you were overseas, then your phone's rung over there too. And so there's 330 million people with phones that have cell phones. So I would say maybe about 250 million phones went off today, and that's how that signal just blasted all over the place. But the phone signal, or your ringtone that's talking about some that zoned out cat, I can't even imagine what that sound is, but that ringtones are going off all over the place. Now, this is, as a Bible man, as a preacher, I always look at things in jest because I love to smile, I love to laugh, but also on the biblical side of things, you can imagine that, and I saw a couple of comments. People were like, I knew that this was coming, but it still caught me off guard. Now, you preachers out there, and I'm going to go ahead and give you a message ahead of time. Here's your message for Sunday. I'm in a series, so I can't use the message, but I might use it later on. So if you don't get to it, I might say something about it. But there was a lot of people that said, I knew that this was coming, but I still wasn't ready, and it caught me off guard. It caught me off guard, too. Right? And watch this. Even if you turn your phone off and you try to hide away, and I hear the book of Revelation talking loud, even if you turned your phone off, and I did, when I turned it back on, it still started ringing. Then you're going to get this alert. You're going to get this word. So how many people do you think will be caught off guard when the Lord returns?
A lot.
It's just like the days of Noah. And Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be during our era. There will be people that will be married and given in marriage. There will be eating and drinking and people being merry. And then when the Lord comes, like a thief in the night, then, oh my goodness, it's going to be a world of hurt for people that don't know him. For many of us, he will be looking like a victorious, triumphant King of Kings and Lord of Lords. The Lamb has now taken the shape of a lion, and for us, he is our vindicator. For those that know him, but for those that don't, he will look like the most terrible, horrifying thing that you would ever seen in your life and in your death, because you'll see his face there too, to rain down judgment upon all of the wicked, past, present, and in the future. And so this tone, of course, is not as joyful, but it's also joyful it's not as joyful. It seems like it's sorrowful on one end and it's serious, but then it's also happy on the other end as well. Because if our natural man can create a signal that gets the world's attention, or the American world's attention, then how much more can the creator of heaven and earth get our attention? So here's my advice to you, and here's my word for you. Prepare and be ready. Or as Scar said to Simba, be prepared. Roar, be prepared. Because the false lion is roaring right now, but the true one, Aslan, right? The real lion is coming later on. Be prepared. Get to know him. Don't be just stuck in unbelief in your trials and tests only for today. And don't worry about tomorrow. Today has enough trouble for itself, right? Shall not even Solomon be wondrous at the lilies of the valley? Doesn't God not only take care of those flowers that are today flourishing and the tomorrow thrown into the oven? Our lives are like grass. We are but a vapor. Oh, ye a little faith, right? So don't worry about what you will eat or what you will drink or what kind of clothes that you should wear. Your Heavenly Father knows what you have need of, and He will provide for you. And while He, though, may tarry and He's waiting, He will arrive and He will come. But until then, you occupy. You do what you need to do. You prepare. You stay in the faith, even though it may be shaken, and you continue to move forward, all right? All right. And so our main topic as we kind of close out for today is called Survivor's Remorse. Survivor's Remorse. Subtopic, making changes when others won't. And so here is the preface of this. Survivor's remorse is kind of like what happens when a person rides on a plane and there is an accident and everyone is killed but that one particular individual. Or like in an example of my father right now, my father, all of his brothers and sisters have passed away, and he was the baby brother. And so my father's 72 years old. And so when you've looked up and you've grown up and you've seen these people that were basically like parents, right? Because his parents were like in their 60s when he was in his 20s. So they were older, and his parents passed away, one in 1975 and the other one maybe in 1973, if I remember correctly. So I only was held by my grandfather on my dad's side. So when you're the only one that's left, how do you feel? What is that like? Now let's translate that into the topic for tonight. When everybody around you is toxic, how do you keep from being infected?
You asked me that question?
Mm-hmm. That's for anybody. I'll go ahead and put down the very first domino for that one.
That's, you know, I'm struggling with that right now, man. That's a really good question, because that survivor's remorse, it's like, I'm trying to change, but everything around me is toxic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm trying to bend this corner, like I'm trying to go, but this is my norm, and what I learned is like my norm. Everybody in there is like is toxic. It's toxic. They're going right, I'm going left, and the more I go left, the more they go right. It's almost as either they're going further or I'm going further. But I notice when I remove myself out of that environment, I feel better.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? My mind is not racing like how it's supposed to, or like how it usually is. And it sucks because it's like whenever you're moving up, you always want to bring everybody with you. Mm-hmm. And that used to be like one of my downfalls. It was like, man, especially when I was heavy into music, I always wanted somebody to go with me. Every opportunity that I ever got, it was for me to go by myself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it creates that, I wouldn't call it doubt, but you always look back. You know what I mean? It's like, well, y'all coming, and a lot of times, the reason why blessings ain't meant for everybody is because everybody can't handle themselves in that situation, and that's what I think, you know. Mm-hmm. And then that's when you really start to see people for who they are, you know. And some people just ain't meant to be there with you because of how they're going to bring you down, and you don't even know it's happening, you know. And I think that's like the worst part, because we go out here and we say that everybody's our friend. This is my friend. This is my brother. This is my brother. But everybody ain't your brother or your friend, you know.
Mm-mm. And I kind of liken it to this, and this is why it's so important for leaders and people who are in leadership, whether they're in ministry or even not, leader of your family, people look up to you. When you are doing right, it is a lonely road. It is a lonely road. It's meant to be that way. The isolation is purposeful. You don't see, there's only one passage of scripture in all of the Bible outside of the disciples that talks about a school of the prophets. Now, for many people, we thought that the school of the prophets meant a school that somebody's going to, but it ain't what it is. You have a school of fish, but who's their teacher? Right? What class do they go to? Right? So that school is just a group of individuals that were there together to learn from someone about the ways of the Lord. That's all that it is. And so when you have situations where you're around groups of people, you're either a light and you're leading, or you're dim as a follower of darkness, right? It's either one or the other. Now, what we have today is that we have people who think that everyone is called to be a leader, everyone's called to be great, everyone's called to go forward. But there still are going to be fewer kings than there are people in the kingdom. We serve one God, not many gods. You have one leader, not many leaders. You have people who are situational leaders, and then sometimes people get upset because what somebody told them is different from what it really is. And now we're trapped in someone else's expectation or projections instead of the reality. And that's very sobering for many of us, right? As much as, and I've wrestled with that quite a bit, right? As much as I know about biblical things, as much as I've been integrated in the community or preach messages that I know for a fact that have been transformative, that doesn't mean that I'm going to have a mega church. Am I any less great based on people's definitions? Absolutely not, right? So we can't look at things the wrong way. And then the other side of that is, you know, it's important for you to be mindful of your circle. There's a passage of scripture that says, bad company corrupts good morals, or bad company corrupts your character. So your circle is important, and you're always going to have more people that's going to be trying to pull you down as opposed to pushing you forward. And you also don't need to be fooled by enemies that are pushing you forward. You can be promoted into a trap. Let me put down a domino for that one right there. If you want a clip, you want a sermon shot for that one, you could be promoted into a trap. You're going to take 6 figures across the world and then get fired after 3 weeks because you are over your head. Was God really speaking to you? All right. Well,
That's crazy when you say promoted into a trap, because it's almost like everybody ain't good for you. But how do you recognize that?
how do I recognize these bones in my hand because I ain't got nothing? Let me go ahead and tap this one time. Oh my gosh. But how do you recognize that? I mean, it takes discernment, it takes wisdom, and if you are in a state right now where you don't know up from down, then you need to surround yourself with wise counsel. Not appeasement, not somebody soothing your ego and trying to stroke your ego, but you need sometimes for people to tell you the truth. Tell it like it is, right? And so when you stay grounded, then you won't get lifted and you won't get puffed up. This is where we are. Bishop McGoffin said years ago, he said, you know further than where you are. You are where you're at. You're no further than where you are. And here's something that a lot of people miss. A lot of people miss this because we talk about the heavy sins, homosexuality, we talk about drinking, smoking, homosexuality, cheating on somebody. Those like the trifecta. We always talk about those. But there's other things that plague the person's soul. And one of the worst ones, if not the worst one, is the sin of ambition.
I remember you said that before.
The sin of ambition is what got the devil thrown out of heaven. Nothing else. The sin of ambition is what brought a third of the angels with the devil. And these were holy beings that made the choice to go with him because they figured that he had more to say than God himself. That was the very first church split. That was the very first church split. Take a tail of people, took a third of the angels with them, but a third is not 66%, that's 33%. So there was 66% that still wanted to believe God. And there was 33% that was under strong delusion, all because of the sin of ambition. The sin of ambition is when you want with everything that you got to be great and go forward, and it's good to have goals, But that's when you start thirsting for things such as power, an unnatural influence, especially for men.
Yeah.
Sometimes ladies as well, but especially for men. Sex, yeah, that's one thing. Money, that's another thing. Power, ooh.
Take
That's
that
why
away.
people like Donald Trump so much, because he has power and influence.
It says a ardent desire for rank, fame, or power. Like ambition, because I mean, every man out here feel like he got ambition. Oh, I got ambition, man. I wake up in the morning, I got so much ambition. I just go do what I got to do. But I remember you said that years ago, and you said it in a sermon too. Like ambition was a sin. So, as a man, what do I wake up and want?
Well, there's a difference between ambition and it was the word. It was a difference between having ambition and then being motivated. Being motivated has an intent behind it. Women want a man that has some ambition. We kind of frame it that way, right? But what we really mean, because words are powerful, what we really mean is that we want that man to have some drive, to have some goals, to lead with purpose. And I can lead with purpose and not have $1 million in my pocket. Maybe my purpose is to fulfill what my parents didn't fulfill, and that's staying together, staying married, and be in a two-parent household for all of my children's lives. And I have already changed the narrative of my bloodline by doing that. That's great for me, but great to someone else is what you see on social media, right? So sinful ambition has this one symptom of the soul that makes people sorrowful, even though they got good things going on. And that's when you try to live in your future right now. Living too far into your future. That tore my soul up for the first 3 years of ministry. It surely did. To the point to where I just had to stop watching the Word Network, because I was like, look at all of these charlatans and false prophets, and they got the biggest crowds, and I'm up here trying to stay faithful, and I got burglar bars on my church doors in a rent-a-center storefront. What? Maybe I need to preach a little bit differently. Maybe I need to holler. Maybe I need to be. I was on a quest early in ministry to find a Hammond B3 organ, because I know if I had that, then that would bring the people in. And if I could just do just like that, not even realizing that some of the greatest preachers that are out there have suffered tremendously. And I'm starting to get a little bit of that suffering even right now myself, in various different levels and various different areas of my life, just by staying faithful to God. And I believe that some of the suffering that I'm experiencing now, I wouldn't have been able to handle it years ago. Not at all. That's why you have to look at the entire expanse of your life and not just this one little small little moment where you feel like there's not anything going anywhere.
That's rough.
Hope deferred makes the heart sick.
Yeah, the reason why I say it's rough, right? Because if I think about me right now, it's hard to.
You already went?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to think like, okay, two things. Let me go into this next one, right? So it's hard to not think in the moment. Like, one of the things that keep me up at night is going through everything that went on in the day and then picturing how I want my day to go tomorrow. And then bottling up emotions. Like, there could be a lot of things that happen to me in a day, whether it's good or bad. Then when you say, when you're called to be a leader, it's a lonely road. There could be things that go through me, that I go through in a day, right, good or bad, but then when I go home, I have nobody to talk to, right? So now, whether it was just a day of bad emotions, I'm bottling that up, and then I'm taking that energy into, one, my sleep, and the next day. So I don't get a lot of sleep. Then I wake up tired, mentally and physically, and then I'm still thinking about the moment. You know?
Yeah.
And then so it's like, well, how can I mean, of course, I think it takes practice, but training my mind to think of all the things that God has done for me and not just think like, God, why am I in this moment right now?
It is hard. It is hard. And that's why, I'm really appreciative of my wife and and being able to talk to her, and then same thing for her, for me, because we go through different moments at different times, and it's also good to have those friends, those godly friends, those friends to encourage you when you don't necessarily have anyone to talk to or talking to a mentor. I be up all times of night. I've been waking up so early at times, and I just be up. But I also am able to sleep well, even in the midst of what's going on, the different types of ups and downs, because when you have godly contentment, even when the world is swirling, I still know that Jesus is in the hull of the ship. He's still at the head of everything. The hull is not, it's not unreachable. You just sometimes have to wait for him to come out and calm the storm. You have to wait.
Yeah.
And you have to be patient, and that's a spiritual discipline that takes sometimes years, sometimes weeks, months, or years to actually get into. Crucifying the flesh and not going to the things of the flesh is very hard. And even now, with our thorns, everybody has thorns. Some people's thorn is that you worry too much. Some people's thorns, and you have a mental cycle that you go through in your mind way too much, and you have stinking thinking, or you're worrying too much and you're not being faithful. Or somebody's thorn could be lust, it could be pride, it could be any type of thing. And when you are going through suffering, sometimes you want to go and put a Band-Aid on that thorn, but the Band-Aid is a bad thing. And that's why I was saying, sometimes when you are looking for an escape for your emotions, you want to make sure it's not an entrance. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Because that's when you're vulnerable. Ladies, when you guys watch those Lifetime movies with a vulnerable woman after her husband done cheated on her, or somebody has done something wrong, or something really bad has happened, then here comes the knight in shining armor, right when you're at your most vulnerable moment. And you're feeling some kind of way and your emotions are in a swirl, and then that's when all of a sudden you feel like you want to give some payback, or you feel like you want to do something that's out of the order. Cougars didn't come because of what women wanted to do. Cougars became a thing because of what men did.
I'm talking to somebody.
I'm just saying, they started looking because many of us weren't taking care of them, and now they get divorced in their 50s and 60s, and they're trying to recapture something that's already gone.
Yeah.
You see, so, all in all, I think that, at the end of the day, your circle is important. Who you're with is important. And when you have those emotions that are bottled up, you have to make sure that they don't exit into the wrong things.
Yeah.
And we all have to work on that. Somebody made you upset today at the job. Somebody made you upset today at the house. You got that inbox from somebody, and you ain't blocked them yet because you're hoping that some great revelation is going to bring them right back into your life. But all it is just more foolishness to see if you're vulnerable enough to give them a lending ear. We don't know if Adam and Eve got into an argument before the devil showed up. All I know is that the devil was there for a long time. He didn't just appear that day. He's been watching for a long time. So there had to have been some type of moment that opened up the door for him to enter in to question the woman. She was heard about the apple, and then Adam was shown the apple. And they both bit from it, and then things went into chaos.
Yeah.
So whatever the devil is speaking to you right now, close up your ears. Whatever the devil is showing you right now, cover your eyes. All right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, let me ask you a question, right? Because you was talking about circles. What I have down in my notes, it says, how do I say I have to go? What if you in that toxic environment and you know that it's your time to exit, but you just don't know what to say, whether it be for a night or it be for an eternity? How do we relinquish those toxins in our lives? Because I think that's the hardest part, is saying goodbye.
Yeah. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
Old Melly Mel.
He always shook his head a lot when he used to do that, right? It's so hard. But here's what I know. There was a reason why I was happy to leave, at least at that time, where I lived in Jacksonville. because there was a lot of toxicity. And even when I visited my friend, like 35 years later, in the same neighborhood, on 11th Street, a lot of the same people knew who I was, and they didn't go anywhere different.
Yeah.
I was happy that I left, even though I still love the people. But you can't take everybody with you. You can't take everybody with you where you're going. And you also need to understand, too, that sometimes when people leave, they're not leaving because where you are is bad. Sometimes they're leaving because where God is taking you is good, right where you are. I know you missed that. Hopefully you get that. You get that? You get that,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So God can take you a place and you can be in place because that's what God has ordained. So when it's a wholesome environment, here it is, toxic people will leave you. When it's a toxic environment, then you have to leave those people.
And that's, you should just drop the mic. And then you should have played the cue to music and hit us out. You know what I mean? But you know, the reason why I say that, bro, because that's probably the most difficult thing in life right now, is knowing that you're sitting in a toxic environment. Ooh.
This is toxic right here.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
toxic.
yeah, yeah.
You might get me this time. But I might make a comeback, though.
Oh man, I can't go either. When you sit in a toxic environment
It's a stalemate.
and you
But you won, though.
you sit in a toxic environment and you know it's your time to go. You're like, this is my time here is done.
Uh-huh.
But then you go back, and I noticed that what they say, spin the block. I noticed we spin the block.
What does spin the block mean?
So say for instance, if you
I know driving wise, but what's the idiom means? It's an idiom.
well,
It's
it's two different ways you can take it. Like so, say for instance, street terms.
yeah.
If I see you on the street, I might pull up and then I might spin the block and come back and get you.
Oh, I ain't get you the first time. I'm gonna get you the next time, like Boys in the Hood. Okay, I
Or
got
if
it.
you got an ex,
Oh Lord.
you came back around. You know what I mean?
Oh Lord, yeah. I've seen spin the block a couple of times.
But I notice, you know, like us as men, I would just speak for myself. I tend to, they say no new friends. I don't want to let no new friends in, but I don't want to get rid of my old friends either. Like it's something that you're supposed to keep, but then it's something that you're not supposed to keep. But then we just feel so,
Define friend.
oh, that's a tough one. Define friend. That's tough. Somebody you know.
What?
Yeah, right.
Flag on the play.
Flag
Another
on the
flag
play.
on the play. Another flag on the play.
That's not what I would define as friends. Friends is somebody like, I mean, I can talk to, I can call them in anytime. We've been through stuff together. We probably know each other's families, you know what I mean? Like, we know about each other. You
Okay.
know, friends.
Judas did all of that.
That's my point. You know what I mean?
Judas
That's my
did all
point.
of that. Whatever you do, do it quickly.
Yeah, that's my point, man. You know, but one, in recognizing it, then after you recognize it, what do I do? Because a lot of times we like to live in the misery.
Yeah. Well, your friend circle tells you a lot about yourself too. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. I learned that from Bishop McLaughlin. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. But Pastor, there's this little boy that was in our daycare that was named Jameson. He used to say, Pastor, Pastor. So I'm going to do that with y'all too. Pastor, but Pastor, I ain't got no friends.
My mom used to say that. Everybody
Well-
ain't your friend. Everybody ain't your friend.
I think that is sometimes for a good reason, because God doesn't want to send you the wrong ones.
Yeah.
And he also understands the type of person that you are. I know that, and here's something that few people know about me. Years ago, I would say not too long ago, but as I was getting, after high school, sometimes I valued friendships so much outside of my brother and sister. I valued those friendships so much until I took on their character. And that's often because I didn't know who I was. So I turned into who they were. And I lost my identity in my quote unquote friends. I didn't keep my uniqueness. I became a lot like them. And so when God has called you to do great things, oftentimes he'll give you wilderness moments until you start forging your own personality. And you finding out who you are.
Yeah.
And so because God knows that as a weakness when you don't know yourself, then he won't allow for the wrong thing to attach to you because you're still vulnerable. You still don't know who you are in Christ Jesus. And when you don't know who you are, other things will define you. Other things will define you, and that is a dangerous place to be. Who are you today? Man, you act just like your friend Chauncey. You act just like your friend Sheila. Y'all are two peas in a pod. Y'all twins. Well, who's the real you? Who's the real one? Who's going to keep it real?
Man, it's crazy. It's like a lot of times I sit up here and I be asking questions that just apply to my life, but I'm sure it apply to a lot of people's lives. But it's crazy because I've been sitting in places and I've been trying to tell people, like, bro, I say the later it gets, the more blunt I get. And that what I mean by that is just that I'm not here to sugarcoat it or not tell you the truth. And I think that's what helps relationships, is telling the truth. A lot of times we sitting in places where people just ain't even finna tell you the truth. They gonna sugarcoat it. And when you say taking on identities, man, I think that's the biggest thing for me, is just knowing who I am in these different places. Because it's true, I sit back and I watch people, if they hang around a certain person for a long time, they start to become the person.
Mm-hmm. They'll become whoever the strongest personality is in the group.
Yeah.
But what happens when the person that you follow and don't even know who they are?
And I see that a lot out here.
Oh, wow.
I see, and you know what's so crazy is a lot of those people who I see doing that be the ones that say, well, you know, I ain't all religious and all that stuff right now. You know, me and God, we just going through some things. Like, it be the ones that's not in the church, not seeking God, not seeking the word, not seeking just an answer. You know, they just running rampant out here. And for me, those the ones that I be trying to touch, because it's like, man, you going this, all you got to do is turn this way. But then at the same time, I think when you embark on a battle like that, that's sometimes when you get wounded the most.
Yeah. Well, that's why you have to remember your marching orders and who gave them to you. You have to remember your marching orders and who gave them to you. We only got about 9 minutes left, and so, you know, those bottled up emotions, they have to have an escape. And I think everybody needs to find a constructive way to unwind when things don't go their way.
Yeah.
What is that? You can't go to vacation all the time, because when you come back, here's reality.
Still here waiting.
You can't smoke out all the time, because as soon as that high goes away and you don't have another blunt to roll, then here goes reality. You can't drink it away, you can't smoke it away. There's only so much relationships that you can have with the spouse, physically speaking. There's only so much work that you could do at your job, and they'll fire you anyway. At the end of at the end of the day, you are still with who God made you to be. So you can unwind, but after you unwind, you're still faced with who you are and what has happened. So as we talked about this past Sunday, it's good for you to process those emotions the right way. And I am still working on that. I am still working on it. Like Deacon Penn, I saw Deacon Penn. Deacon Penn was feeling some kind of way this past Sunday a little bit. And he sat there by himself. He was processing those emotions, right? And what made you feel better at the end of the day? Was it sleep? Was it time?
Chick-fil-A.
Date night. All right. So spending time with your wife helped you to release that particular pressure. And that's a constructive way, right? Right. So like those things, what helps you to unwind? Friends, I'm talking about constructive ways, right? So when you have had a bad day, Jose, what is a way that you like to unwind? Go to Planet Fitness. Every time he answers, you never get the mic to him. You know you're going to have to give it to somebody else. He just had the mic and he's like, I'm already finished. Okay. Or watching boxing, right? Did you watch that mess between Charlo and Canelo?
I was just about to say.
Yes, I did watch the fight at my brother-in-law's house. We watched the whole fight.
Who's you going for? The black man?
He said, I'm on both sides of the fence. I was going for both of them. Cause that's right. I love Jose, man. He's on both sides of the fence. So you were torn? Were you torn in your emotions?
Right now, my main thing is I want I want some get back on Terrence Crawford. So I want Spence to get him back. Somebody to get
This is
him
not
back.
going to happen, Jose. He's not. He is outmatched. Errol Spence was brown, and he got turned red that night. His
red.
whole body.
His face was red.
I do not think, as we deviate from this topic, because I guess we kind of wrapped up with that, right? I do not believe. I believe that that accident totally changed his constitution. I don't think he'll ever be the same.
That last one?
Yeah, his
First one?
accident, the
Or both of them?
yeah. I don't think that he's ever going to, I think, because, it's just like a football injury. When something happens to your virgin knee, it's just not the same again. It's like when, Nick Chubb, his knee got busted and he tore his LCL. It looked like it was just all whack. It's like his leg was supposed to go this way and it's supposed to go forward. But he had an injury back in 2015. Great rehab, but it's never as good as when it's untouched. So I think that it's going to be Crawford against Canelo. I think Crawford's going to go up weight class, and I think that's going to be a 3-fight series between those two. And I think that Canelo's going to get him a couple of times.
At 168?
Mm-hmm. That's my bold prediction, though, man. But no, Errol
I might go for the Mexican on that one.
Errol got to get his head on straight, and he has to totally heal. I don't think he's totally healed from what had happened. I think that something is going on up here physiologically. I don't think it's just mental. I think it's physiologically something that has slowed him down.
You can see.
It feels like he had a couple of strokes. That's my feeling. Not massive strokes, but there's this thing called ischemic attacks. I think that's some of those things, because like when I look at him, that's what I see. I think that some stuff happened to him that slowed him down
A little slow.
because of the impact of the accident.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you notice, I follow his career for a good little minute. He talks very he is from Texas, but his speech is very slow and slurred. And if you watch it before the accident, he used to talk way faster.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think, and God bless him, but I don't think that he should fight anymore. I think that he should stop.
Yeah.
If he does fight, I think he should do exhibition matches with Roy Jones, and then that's it.
Because he can't take another beating like that.
He can't take no more beats, man. He don't need to go in there no more. He's a warrior, but he's on 25 miles per hour. Crawford is on 50 miles per hour.
Did Charlo lose his belts?
Charlo was going up to 168, so he was fighting for Canelo belts. Because
So
Canelo
he-
got all the belts at 168.
So he still got his.
Well, he lost one of them. They took one of them from him, the WBO, because
I remember
he skipped
that.
the mandatory against the guy from Australia,
Yeah.
Tim
Oh,
Tszyu.
so that was more of a default thing, man. But yeah, man, when it comes to, as I kind of close out this particular thing right here, try to go up on this brother one more time or whatnot. But when you have escapes, those things are good. So my last question is, what do you do when you don't have those escapes to go to? Like when football season is over, basketball season, all the men are like, oh, God, here we go, oh, God, right? Or after the fight between Ngannou Francis and Tyson Fury is over, what do you do when the escape is no longer there? Do you have an alternative? When the gym is closed, or when you can't go out to Haven Lounge, right? Right.
Yeah.
What do you do when you don't have those escapes? I think that's when the door swings both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Where it has to get out, but that's when you start getting into, should I do this dark thing again? Do I need to go over my sister's house that I know that's going to get on my nerves? We talk about a whole bunch of bad stuff, and I just need somebody to talk to, but it ends up being worse than when I first got there. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, a positive outlet is definitely important, and I would say because somebody who, when I say I go home to myself, I go home to myself, right? So a lot of times I'm holding myself accountable, so my outlet can be exactly what I don't want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But finding that positive outlet to me lately has been doing a lot better for my mental, and it's been able to slow my mental down. Because in these places, I realized this is where I become completely calm. So it's like, it's this little boardwalk by my crib. I'll go over there and just chill on the boardwalk and just listen to the water.
You feeding pigeons like Mike Tyson.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just a little something like that, you know what I mean? And you'd be surprised at how it allows your mind to slow down. So to me, whatever you guys can find that's going to slow your mind down, because that's when the peace comes. It's like when your mind shuts off, you know. So
What do you do for peace, Sister Rodriguez?
listen to Beyonce.
Oh Lord, Taylor Swift. Okay, we got to get this Taylor Swift.
Actually, I work out like him, and then I also do a lot of worship music.
A lot of worship music to slow the brain down. Okay. How about you, Brother Mel?
Shamil. I see you got that lineup.
I used to have those long time ago. I used to. What's it like now?
Hello?
Yeah.
What was the question?
Because you in the other galaxy just looking off into the distance. That's why I asked you that question. But what do you do to unwind?
I work out. Honestly, I work out, or if I don't feel like working, I hop on the PS5. Something I can control.
Something that you can control.
Yeah, something I can control.
See, I could dig into that, but that would be another episode altogether. But what do you do when you're not in control? That's for everybody, when you're not in control. I remember CeeLo said, maybe I'm crazy, possibly.
I'll call my mom for real.
Mom's not picking up the phone, then
She
what?
ain't picking up. Praying. I know that
Praying.
sound like, but yeah, praying. Just sit and put some gospel on,
Okay.
and then just let it work its way out.
Zone out, just like that cat on Facebook. I love that video. My wife, she's probably, you know what I'm doing now? And I find like different things, right? So my way to unwind, and you could go ahead and cue up the music, Deacon Penn, because you start looking down, that means you're hungry again, and it's just a decline from there. So go ahead and cue the music. So what I'm doing now, as a part of unwinding and getting my emotions, so there's this show, and I'm just telling you, this is how my brain works. Because if you go inside my brain, you'll see a hamster, you'll see a nuclear bomb, intricate electrical parts, and then a bunch of cartoons. That's what's in my brain. And of course, Jesus Christ, right? That's the lens that I look through the world in. So my show that I've been looking at right now is Adventure Time. I love that show. Adventure Time. Come on, tell your friends. It's a story that never ends. With Finn the human and Jake the dog. Some fun will never end on Adventure Time. Now I'm pushing 50 years old. I still watch cartoons, but I love the stories. It helps me to go to sleep. It's completely mindless. I don't have to see anything deep spiritually, none of that stuff, and it is great. And it is like 300 episodes of it, right?
Also, it never ends.
It never ends. It's like the song that never ends. So that's like my new thing right now, because sometimes you have to give your brain a break. And if you're not careful, then you'll get into some of that toxic stuff that you can also go to too frequently, and then it'll start depleting your health, right? So I do that. I also pray. I like to listen to the Bible. And here's another thing, and I'll end it here. Be careful of what you consume before you go to bed. Not only what you eat, but also what you think on. If you get some time, get you some headphones, get you the Bible app that's on everybody's phone that we have. There is a feature in there that will play it as an audiobook. Put it on your head. If you got worrying problems, start with Matthew and talk about the worrying chapter and listen to it on repeat until you stop. You do that. If you need some wisdom, turn on the book of Proverbs and let it go all the way to Ecclesiastes. You got relationship problems, go to the Song of Solomon and let it just go ahead and play through. You need some faith, go through Hebrews, the book of Hebrews, and listen to the thing all the way through. If you want to be scared out of your wits, go to the book of Revelation and listen to everything all the way through to get your soul right? Okay. If you want to listen to some history and fall asleep quickly, look at the genealogy of all the kings in the book of Kings. There's several things that you could do to fill your soul. And what I found is that you'll have dreams, biblically based dreams, which is really God's dark speech. And I mean not dark as in evil, but that's how he whispers things to you to give you direction in your life. Sometimes you're not going to get direction from people, you're going to get direction from him. And in this season, he ain't working through everybody like you think they are. All right. Any closing words, my brother? I'm done.
Keep your head on a swivel, man, because the devil's out. Bang.
Keep your head on the swivel.
Keep your head on the swivel.
Oh, my neck. My neck. My neck.